1 Introduction. My name is Cindy. I am 26 years old. I live in a quiet house. One day, a new couple moved in next door. Their names were Dan and Vera. They were a beautiful couple. Dan was kind, and Vera had a friendly smile. From the first day, they looked very happy together. I often saw them from my window. They always seemed perfectly in love. Dan often helped Vera. He would open her car door. Vera would laugh, and Dan would smile back. Their actions showed their strong love. They often walked together in the evening, holding hands. Their home always looked bright and welcoming. I lived alone, so I noticed these small things. They truly seemed like a perfect couple living a perfect life. One afternoon, Vera came to my door. She had baked delicious cookies for me. "Hello, Cindy," she said with her warm smile. "We are your new neighbors. Please take these cookies." I thanked her. We talked for a few minutes. Then she said, "You must come to our house for dinner sometime." I was happy about her invitation. It felt good to have friendly neighbors. Soon, Vera and I became close friends. I started to visit their house often. Every time I went there, I felt a special warmth. Their home was always full of laughter and happiness. Dan and Vera loved to entertain. They often played soft music. We talked about many things like books, movies, and our small town. I enjoyed my time with them very much. Their house was a happy place. I often saw how Dan and Vera looked at each other. Their eyes showed deep affection. Dan would sometimes put his arm around Vera. Vera would lean her head on his shoulder. They were always gentle and caring. It was clear they were very much in love. I saw their deep connection and felt happy for them. Their love was strong and true. Their life looked like a beautiful picture. Everything seemed perfect. They had a nice home, good jobs, and a strong love. But sometimes I had a strange feeling. It was a quiet thought in my mind. I felt that this perfect picture might not last forever. I did not know why I thought this. There was no reason. Still, the feeling was there. It was a small worry. I hoped my feeling was wrong. I wished for their happiness to continue always. I never imagined what the future would bring. 2. A sad day. One evening, a loud ambulance sound filled the quiet street. My heart felt sudden fear. I quickly ran outside. I saw Dan by his front door. He looked pale and was shaking. Something was wrong. Vera had fainted inside while cooking. I waited outside, worried. Later that evening, the sad news came. Vera was gone. The doctor said it was a heart problem. I could not believe it. Days ago, she was full of life. Now, she was not here. It felt impossible to understand. The perfect happiness I had seen was broken. The days that followed were dark and quiet. Dan did not leave his house. The lights stayed off. There was no laughter or happy voices. Even their dog, Milo, did not bark. The neighborhood felt sadness, a heavy cloud. I looked from my window. My heart felt heavy. Dan was alone and looked lost. I felt a strong desire to help him. I wanted to make his pain less. but I did not know how to start. What could I say or do? He was suffering. I thought about knocking, but stopped. Maybe he needed to be alone. I did not want to bother him, so I just watched and worried. Then, one morning, I saw him. He was sitting alone on his front porch. He looked small and sad, just looking straight ahead. This was my chance. I knew I had to do something. I went into my kitchen and made fresh coffee. It was warm and strong. I held the hot mug and walked to his house. I walked slowly to his porch. He did not see me at first. I stood in front of him. He looked up, his eyes full of sorrow. I held out the coffee. He took it slowly. His hand was cold. He looked at me and whispered, "Thank you." His voice was soft. It broke my heart. It was the first time I heard him speak since that night. 3. A new friendship. After that sad day, I started to visit Dan more often. I went to his house almost every day. He still looked very sad, but he always said hello. I wanted to help him. I brought food for him and his 2 children, Emma and Noah. Emma was a little girl, and Noah was a small boy. They were very quiet at first. They missed their mother a lot. I helped them with their school work. I cooked dinner for them, and I cleaned the kitchen. I also played with their dog, Milo. These small things helped bring some order back to their home. Dan often told me, "Cindy, you do not have to do all this." But I always told him, "We are neighbors. Neighbors help each other when times are hard." I truly wanted to help. It felt right to be there for them. Slowly, Dan started to change. He began to smile a little more each day. Sometimes, he even laughed softly when the children played. He started to talk to me more easily. We talked about many small things. We talked about his work, movies, and Emma and Noah's day. One afternoon, Dan came to my house. He brought me a small plant. We sat on my porch, drank tea, and talked for a long time. It was nice to share quiet moments. I saw that he was slowly getting better, but I could still see the sadness deep in his eyes. It was like a shadow that never fully left him. I wanted to make that sadness go away completely. I wanted to see him truly happy again. As the weeks passed, I realized something new. I was not just helping a neighbor. I was not just a friend. I started to feel something more for Dan. It was a feeling that grew inside me, deep and strong. Every time I saw him, my heart felt warm. When he smiled, my day became brighter. I thought about him often. This new feeling was confusing. It felt wrong because he was still very sad about Vera, but I could not stop it. I knew this feeling was growing, and it was becoming very important to me. I was falling in love with Dan, a kind man who had lost his wife. 4. My secret feelings. My feelings for Dan grew stronger every day. Each time I saw him, my heart beat quickly. When he laughed, I felt warm inside. I enjoyed helping him and his 2 small children, Emma and Noah. But I also felt that these feelings were wrong. Vera, his wife, had only passed away weeks ago. Dan was still very sad. His house still held many memories of her. Vera's presence was everywhere. Her pictures were in the living room and in the hallway. Her favorite books were on the shelf. I could even see her memory in Dan's eyes, even when he smiled. I knew he still loved her deeply. I tried hard to stop my feelings. I told myself, "Cindy, he is just your friend. You are helping him because he needs you." I tried to focus only on cooking, cleaning, and playing with Emma and Noah, but it was difficult to control my thoughts. My mind kept returning to Dan. I liked his strength, his gentle way with his children, and his kindness. I liked being near him. One evening, Dan was fixing a broken part of the garden fence. I went outside to offer my help. He needed a tool, and I held it out for him. As he reached to take it, our hands touched for a very short moment. It was only a second, but it felt long to me. Dan quickly pulled his hand away. He looked surprised, almost scared. I didn't say anything, and I just smiled. My face felt warm. We finished fixing the fence in silence, but that small touch stayed in my mind. That night, I could not sleep. I lay in my bed and thought about Dan. I thought about his sad eyes and the kindness in them. I thought about the way he pulled his hand away so fast. Was he scared? Or was it just an accident? I closed my eyes, but I still saw his face. It was then that I finally admitted the truth. I could not hide my feelings anymore. It was clear. I had fallen in love with him. This was not something I had planned. It happened quietly, like rain starting with one small drop. Now, this feeling was strong and real. I loved Dan. This secret feeling was heavy in my heart, and I did not know what to do next. 5. A kiss in the rain. It was a Sunday, and the rain fell heavily outside. The sky was gray. I made warm soup and carried it to Dan's house next door. His 2 children, Emma and Noah, were not home that day. They were visiting their grandparents for the weekend. This meant the house was very quiet, quieter than usual. Only the sound of rain hitting the windows could be heard. Dan opened the door. He looked tired, but his face seemed peaceful. We went inside, and I placed the soup on the kitchen table. Then we sat near the warm fireplace. The fire made soft light. We talked quietly for a long time, sharing simple thoughts. We spoke about the children and the rainy weather. Then Dan looked at me with serious eyes. His gaze held much emotion. He said, "I don't know what I would do without you, Cindy. You have helped me so much." His words were kind, and they touched my heart. I felt my heart beat faster. I smiled and told him, "You would be okay, Dan. You are a strong person." He continued to look at me, and his eyes held many unspoken feelings. He slowly leaned closer to me. My breath stopped. Time seemed to stand still. Then he gently kissed me. It was a soft kiss, but it felt very sad. It was full of pain and confusion, not joy. My mind was full of thoughts, and my heart was full of confusing feelings. I did not move. After a short moment, he pulled back quickly. His eyes were wet, and he looked very sad. "I am sorry, Cindy," he whispered, his voice low. "I should not have done that." He stood up and walked away from me, moving towards the window. He looked out at the pouring rain, his back to me. I wanted to say something, but no words came out. My throat felt tight, and my eyes started to sting. My heart felt completely broken. I understood. He was not ready for anything new. He was still hurting deeply from losing Vera. I slowly stood up and quietly left his house. The heavy rain outside matched the tears that started to fall from my eyes. That night, I cried for a long time in my home. I loved him, but I knew his heart was not ready to move on. This made me feel a deep sadness. 6. 2 years of silence. After the kiss, everything between Dan and me changed completely. The warm, easy friendship we once shared simply disappeared. Dan started to keep a clear distance from me. He did not come to my house anymore. If I tried to visit his home, he would often say he was too busy or had other plans. He stopped calling me, and he stopped coming over for tea or help. I felt a deep, empty space inside me where our friendship used to be. It was a very hard and lonely time for me. I tried very hard to move forward with my own life. I tried to forget the kiss and the feelings I had for him. I put all my energy into my work, spending extra hours at the office. I also tried to meet new people and spend more time with my other friends. But it was never truly easy. I saw Dan almost every single day. His house was right next to mine, a constant reminder. I would see him in his garden, or sometimes he would be playing with Emma and Noah in their yard. Every sight of him made my heart ache with a quiet sadness. 2 years passed in this difficult way. They were 2 long, silent years. During this entire time, we barely spoke more than a few words. Sometimes, we would meet by chance, perhaps at the small grocery store in our town, or when we were both walking down the street. We would exchange a quick, polite hello. But his eyes never stayed on mine. He always looked away very quickly, as if he was trying to hide something, or perhaps he just wanted to avoid any real conversation. This made the distance feel even wider. I told myself many times that it was truly over. I tried to convince my mind that my strong feelings for him should finally go away. I tried to tell myself that I needed to forget him. But my heart did not listen to my mind. Despite everything, I still loved him. The silence between us was not just quiet, it was painful. It was a heavy, constant quiet that stayed around us, like a dark cloud. I often wondered if he ever thought about me, or if he regretted that moment we shared. The people in our neighborhood sometimes talked about Dan. I heard different things from different people. Some said he was still very sad about Vera, saying he was still broken by her loss. Other people said he was dating someone new and moving on. I did not ask about these rumors. I did not want to know the answers. It felt like knowing would only make my own pain worse. I deeply wanted peace in my life, but my unchanging feelings for Dan would not let me have it. I was left alone with my thoughts, always wondering if anything would ever truly change between us. Would we ever talk properly again, like we used to? Would this long, painful silence ever come to an end? It felt like a part of me was waiting, always waiting, for something to happen, even if I knew it might never come. 7. His true feelings. One evening, I heard a knock on my door. It was Dan. He looked nervous. His hair was messy and his eyes seemed tired. "Can I come in?" he asked quietly. I nodded, and we went to the kitchen. We sat at the table where we had laughed so much. The room felt quiet. He looked at his hands, then at me. "I was a coward," he said, his voice low. I stayed silent. He continued, "I felt something for you, Cindy. I felt it for a long time." My heart began to beat fast. This was what I had hoped for. He looked into my eyes. "I was afraid," he explained. "Afraid to forget Vera. I thought if I moved on, it meant I did not love her anymore. I was also afraid to hurt you. I did not want to bring you into my sadness." He spoke slowly, each word carefully chosen. "But I cannot lie anymore," he said, his voice a little stronger. "I like you, Cindy. I have liked you very much for a long time." My heart raced. Tears started in my eyes. He reached across the table and took my hand. His touch was warm. "You brought life back into this house," he told me. "When everything was dark, you were a light. You helped Emma and Noah. You helped me. Your presence meant everything." The tears ran down my face. I spoke, my voice a little shaky. "I never wanted to replace her, Dan. I just wanted to be there for you. To help you, to be your friend." He listened, his thumb moving slowly over my hand. He smiled then, a soft, gentle smile. It was a true smile, not the sad one I had known. In that moment, he looked free. The heavy feeling that had been with him seemed to lift. We sat there, holding hands. For the first time in 2 years, the silence between us was not painful. It was a new beginning. 8, a new start. From that day, things began to change. We started our relationship slowly and with care. There was no rush. We wanted to build something strong and real. We spent a lot of time together. Dan, Emma, Noah, and I did many simple things. We often went to the local park, playing games and enjoying the fresh air. We watched movies at home, sharing popcorn and quiet moments. We cooked meals together in the kitchen, teaching Emma and Noah how to stir and mix. We talked about everything, our daily routines, the children's school, and our hopes for the future. We shared our thoughts and feelings openly, building trust each day. Dan's house felt different now. It was no longer heavy with past sadness. Instead, it was full of light and laughter. Emma and Noah laughed more often, and their smiles were bright. I loved hearing their happy voices fill the rooms. It truly felt like a new life was starting there for all 4 of us. The pictures of Vera were still on the walls, just as they had always been. They were important memories, a part of their past story. They were not a sad shadow over our future anymore. Vera was a special part of Dan's life and the children's mother. Her memory was respected. It showed a history of love, but it did not stop new love from growing. I learned a very important lesson during this time. I learned that love can come even after a big loss. It is not about replacing someone who is gone forever. It is about healing a broken heart. It is about finding happiness again, step by step. It is about making new memories together. This new love did not erase the past. It helped to heal the sadness from the past. It made the present brighter and full of promise. Dan often said to me, "Thank you for staying here with us." I always answered him, "Thank you for coming back to me." Life moved forward for all of us together. Each day brought new moments and new joys. We were building a new life together, carefully and with much love. I was no longer just the neighbor from next door. I was not just Cindy, the friend. I became a full part of their family. I shared their laughter and their stories. I was part of their new beginning. It was a beautiful journey of hope and new love. We were all learning to live and love again, side by side. Our path was clear. We were moving forward together, one step at a time. This was our new start.